So Halloween is coming up, and it'll definitely be different. I honestly won't know how to spend my Halloween this year, other than, probably doing a live stream or something. Regardless, Halloween is the perfect day to get spooked out by Five Nights at Freddy's. This is a very popular game series at this point, and if you've seen my channel, at all, you know I am a big FNAF fanatic. And while I did play through the Halloween update of FNAF 4 as well, I actually discovered something on Discord in late September, of Five Nights at Freddy's Iceberg. If you aren't aware of what an iceberg is, essentially it's a series of information regarding whatever the iceberg is about. The top sections have more clear, coherent, and well-known information, but as the iceberg descends down, the information becomes more vague, creepy, and rare. And one look at this thing and I just knew that I was covering it. Whether or not be for Halloween or anything else, it was practically begging that I go over it. Some things to point out first. Five Nights at Freddy's lore is overall really messy and incoherent in general, so apologies if I get some things wrong here. Even I can't get everything right all the time. Second, and this will become more important as we descend further down the iceberg, there will be information that will come across that I will have no idea about. And guess what? There was actually a lot of stuff that I had never heard of until looking at this iceberg. And lastly, I'll be explaining this pie chart that will be located on the bottom left side of the video. This is a scale of my confidence when going over any of these topics. A full pie chart means I am absolutely positive that I know what I am talking about, and I'm extremely confident what I am saying is correct. And an empty chart means that I have no idea what I'm talking about, and it's honestly just a shot in the dark. Oh, and by the way, if you were curious as to the Mario 64 iceberg, I definitely found that one very interesting as well. But I've never played Mario 64, and to be frank, the Mario 64 iceberg is kind of a dead topic as of releasing this video anyways. I may cover that one as well, just not right now. Okay, with all of those statements out of the way, let's finally jump in and tackle the Five Nights at Freddy's iceberg. Vanny and Glamrock Freddy teaser. One of the new teasers from FNAF Security Breach coming up actually reveals two variations of the Glamrock Freddy teaser. The first one is nothing special, but the second is slightly different. Squinting your eyes next to Glamrock Freddy himself reveals Vanny off in the distance. Child inside Funtime Freddy. In the game files for Sister Location, there's actually a series of 4 hidden game files. Each one is a blueprint detailing descriptions of the core 4 Funtime animatronics. Looking at Funtime Freddy's blueprints, looking closely at the stomach area actually reveals a shape of a small child inside. This was to drive home the point that the Funtime animatronics were made to take and capture children. More on that later. Chica is female. I'm pretty sure this one explains itself. Man, remember when Chica was the only female character in the FNAF series? Secret 5th child in FNAF 2. In the Give Gifts Give Life minigame in FNAF 2, upon closer inspection after giving the 4th kid life, at the very last frame a 5th unknown child appears, and afterwards Golden Freddy's jump scare plays. Save them. Throughout every minigame in FNAF 2, unnerving noises can be heard in the background. Doing a bit of research, the noises accumulate to spell the words "save them", along with some other phrases similar to it. Scott is a Christian. This is really nothing about the games itself, but the creator of FNAF, Scott Cawthon, is actually a Christian. Before FNAF, he actually made a series of animated cartoons and some video games revolving around something called the Pilgrim's Progress. Don't really have anything else interesting to say about that though. 1987 in FNAF 1. This is one of the most commonly known secrets in the whole game. By typing in the coordinates 1987 in FNAF 1's custom night, instead of getting the typical night translation, you instead get taken to Golden Freddy's jump scare. Nose honk. This is just a fun little gag you can do in every major FNAF game in the series. By clicking the poster in the FNAF 1 office, specifically the area where Freddy's nose is, you get a fun party sound. This is a trick you can do in every game except for AR and I think VR, though I've never played that one. Freddy in the ladies' room. This has nothing to do with anything really, but an interesting point some people have pointed out is that when Freddy moves to the restrooms in FNAF 1, looking at that camera, Freddy is actually seen in the ladies' room section of the restroom. This got people thinking that Freddy was actually possessed by a female, and we'll get to that in the next row. FNAF World Drowned ending. In FNAF World, you are warned to never go more than 3 layers down into the glitched area, otherwise you will never make it back. If you actually do this near the end of the game, you are taken to an area that is known as Old Man Consequences Lake. However, there is one more thing you can do instead of just restart your game. If you actually clip yourself into the lake, then you actually begin to sink down and leads to the eventual end. Junior's area in Pizzeria Simulator. I was a little confused as to what this meant at first, but the image that was provided in the Iceberg made me feel really dumb. So, in case you don't know, there's an area in the secret passageway in the Midnight Motorist minigame in Pizzeria Simulator. This location has been confirmed, at least by game theory anyway, to be the FNAF 2 location. The Bite of 83. In Five Nights at Freddy's, there's 2 different types of bites that occur in the game's timeline. While most people are familiar with the Bite of 87, there is a different incident that goes down in history as the Bite of 83, where the crying child gets his frontal lobe bitten off by Fredbear. Freddy in the kitchen. In FNAF 1, once Freddy has moved to the kitchen, you will begin to hear his music box play, the same one you hear when you run out of power. Looking at the kitchen camera when he's there will allow you to hear it more clearly. Fake ending. In Sister Location, there's 2 different endings that you can get at the end of the game. The first, known as the true ending, gets the players inside Scoop and the animatronics escaping the world using your body. That is weird, don't question it. The fake ending, though, puts you in an Ennard-like boss fight, and then you get to go home and enjoy your exotic butters. Until Ennard shows up. At your house. How? I don't know, I guess it's not canon, so we don't have to worry about it? Question mark? Oh yeah, speaking of exotic butters, in Night 5 of Sister Location, you are chosen what package you want delivered to you by the end of your work week. And thanks to that crummy keypad, it chooses exotic butters for you. You can actually see the exotic butters when you get home in the fake ending, and in the extras menu, after you complete the fake ending. Candy Cadet Stories. In Pizzeria Simulator, Candy Cadet had a rare chance of telling you one of 3 stories, and they all involved 5 things becoming one thing. Many people jump to conclude that this was resembling Ennard, but here's the problem. Ennard is composed of 4 animatronics, not 5. We do get this answer in the 4th closet, but I won't say that cause, let's face it, none of you came here for the game theory treatment anyway. Purple Guy's name is William Afton. Purple Guy is the mysterious killer in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. It isn't until the first FNAF novel, The Silver Eyes, that we learn his true name is William Afton. This is later reinforced in Sister Location, where in the cold opening, we hear his name outright. Fun facts in FNAF 3's newspapers. After beating Nightmare Mode in FNAF 3, you are treated to a newspaper announcing that Fazbear's Fright has burned down. Bringing up that last image, however, and you'll see Springtrap in the distance indicating that he survived the fire. Bonnie and Chica's moans. In FNAF 1, after Bonnie and Chica get inside your office, there's a chance that after raising a monitor, you'll faintly hear childlike moans and groans. Mangle is a yes. This was originally a joke as people had literally no idea whether Mangle was a boy or a girl. We didn't receive any technical clarification on Mangle's gender back then, and we still haven't now, so thanks Scott. Toxic meter. This was an unused mechanic that would have applied to the mask in FNAF 2. This was used to prevent the player from camping inside it and getting no harm out of it. This was most likely removed due to it being unnecessary in general because you already have Withered Foxy and the puppet as the hard counter kept inside the mask anyway, so scrap that idea. FNAF 2 is a prequel. This is the most bare to bones information that you'll get from this series, and if you don't understand it, then you're better off just looking for another franchise. FNAF 2 is a prequel in many aspects, the details of which I won't get into cause, let's face it, you already knew that. Egg Baby Blueprints. These are the blueprints that you see when you're achieving the Insanity ending. These indicate blueprints of Mole and Freddy, the Scooper in Sister Location, and Lefty. You get the Insanity ending by buying Egg Baby and placing it in your pizzeria. Springtrap in the Aggressive Nightmare ending. I don't know why this is on here. It's literally the same thing as the FNAF 3 newspaper facts. Moving on. William Afton and FNAF 2 minigame. My best guess is that this is referencing the Save the minigame, where very rarely Purple Guy will come charging after you and end the minigame. This would only make sense if it's referring to that game in particular, because in the other minigames, Purple Guy is a prominent figure in those ones. The only one where he appears as a secret is the Save the minigame, so that's probably what it's referring to. Hidden Withered Freddy, Withered Foxy, and Toy Bonnie screens in FNAF 2. Occasionally after booting up the game, you'll be greeted with one of these 3 rare screens. This was something that could happen in FNAF 1 as well, where you would be greeted with this rare image of Bonnie. Lives in FNAF 1 through 3. Lives were an unused mechanic in the first 3 FNAF games. However, considering lives weren't even used in the first game's release, why did Scott decide to implement them again in 2 and 3, only to discard and not use them at the end once again? I have no idea. You can't. This is another reference to Purple Guy appearing in the Save the minigame in FNAF 2. After Purple Guy collides with you, you'll be met with a line of text saying, "You can't." Freddy in Space teaser. This was a joke teaser posted on Scott's website, scottgames.com, except that Freddy in Space is an actual game you can play within FNAF World Update 2. Something else I noticed was the order that the teaser was in the number of teasers was 69. This was something I clearly showcased in my FNAF teaser video, which you can go ahead and check out once you're done with this video. Scott Cawthon is the voice of Phone Guy. This is a classic fact that most FNAF enthusiasts should know. Considering FNAF's status as an indie game, of course Scott would have been the voice of a character in a game that he had made solo. Fredbear and Friends. In the Night 3 minigame of FNAF 4, occasionally, the TV in the living room will turn on to show Fredbear and Friends, showing Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Fredbear. This was mainly used to showcase when the events of FNAF 4 were taking place. Golden Freddy in the Bad Ending. In FNAF 3, when you're taken to the Bad Ending screen, there's a 5th set of glowing lights behind the core 4 animatronic heads. This has been confirmed to be Golden Freddy's head illuminating in the distance. It's me. It's me is one of the classic phrases used in the FNAF series. First introduced in FNAF 1, this phrase was everywhere. Encryptions in the walls, secret messages in the Pirate's Cove sign, and the phrase appeared when flashing hallucinations of the animatronics' heads appeared. Curse Haunting. This is an unused chip in FNAF World that wasn't even in the game's files. Supposedly, it gave all the enemies the haunt effect at the beginning of a fight, and occasionally Ghost Freddy would appear and haunt the enemies. It's speculated that the chip Quick Start Party replaced this chip and thus went unused. Shadow Freddy in FNAF 3. Rarely in FNAF 3, when you turn to the left, you can see a Shadow Freddy slightly hidden from view in the doorway. Nothing much else to talk about in this one, so moving on. Rainbow is Tomorrow. This was supposedly a teaser for Chica's Magic Rainbow that was included in FNAF World Update 2. This was the first topic on the Iceberg that I legitimately had never heard of, and I'm still not even sure I got all right. Chipper and Sons. This is one of Scott's older games before he had made Five Nights at Freddy's. What's interesting is that it shares an uncanny resemblance to the games, and we'll get into that one a little bit later. Freddy is possessed by a female. I personally don't have anything interesting to share about this one. I mean, obviously we talked about the whole Freddy in the ladies' room thing before, but there's not really anything else to say. Other than Freddy's laugh is just a slowed down version of the little girl laugh used by Golden Freddy when he's summoned, but you probably already knew that. The FNAF 1 posters were taken from the trailer. I honestly have no idea what this is saying. There are visible posters on the walls during the footage of the FNAF 1 trailer, but I don't really see how this ties into anything. Scott Cawthon's children playtested the FNAF series. This is actually true, and just like the Scott is a Christian point, it doesn't really have anything to do with the game in general, but it's still pretty interesting to learn. Dream Theory. This was a theory made by the game theorists after FNAF 4 had come out, and was very controversial for the whole "it was just a dream" twist. This has been denied to be true today, but it was still an outrage upon its release. FNAF 1 microtransactions. If you've ever played the mobile port of FNAF 1, at least the old version, then you're probably aware that FNAF 1 has some virtual plushies of the titular characters that cost 99 cents each. Nothing much to say about this one. The Puppet in FNAF 3. I can see why this is on the iceberg, as the puppet's appearance in the events of FNAF 3 is usually highly overlooked and never really gets an explanation in general. That's about it for this one though. fnafworld.com. Many people know about Scott's main website, scottgames.com, but there's a select few people who have never heard of his secondary website, fnafworld.com, where he sometimes posts teasers on upcoming content over there as well. Adventure Nightmare Mangle. Yeah, this one just seems like a hoax to me. If anyone knows whether or not this is actually in FNAF World, then please comment down below, because I'm genuinely curious as to what this actually is. It probably just means nothing though. Phone Guy in FNAF 4. If you reverse and speed up the ambience used in FNAF 4, it's actually the sound of the first phone call used in FNAF 1. Scott is truly a master of recycling. Lulpit and Yendo in FNAF Sister Location. The inclusion of these two characters in the SL Custom Night would seem really random until you remembered that they were actually in FNAF Sister Location. In Funtime Auditorium, there's a rare chance that instead of seeing Foxy in the distance, you'll instead see Yendo. And for Lulpit, occasionally in Night 5 after entering the main maintenance room, you'll find Lulpit's head where Ennard's mask originally was, instead of just nothing there. 4 games, 1 story. This is one of the classic quotes used in the FNAF lore, specifically in game theory. This was a quote that originated when over the ever-changing FNAF World poster, a series of questions and statements appeared, one of them being the titular 4 games, 1 story. LOL hacks. I actually didn't know what this was until I looked at Freddy in Space 2, where LOL hacks is a character in that game. However, he shares the abbreviation LOLZ hacks, so this could be something completely different that I don't know about. Blood under the puppet's box. At first, I thought this meant that there was blood in the camera feed of the prize corner in FNAF 2, but looking it up, I realized it was actually referring to the Save the minigame, which yes, there is actually blood under the puppet's box when you make it to the prize corner. Original Overworld and FNAF World. If you've played FNAF World when it very first came out, then you would remember that the original Overworld was an 8-bit setting instead of the 3D looking environment that it was changed to in later updates. Hanging Mangle. One of the teasers from scottgames.com seems to be completely black. However, brightening the image up will reveal Mangle hanging onto something with the text, "Look at what you've done." This made people speculate that this image was of Adventure Mangle hanging itself, which definitely seems to be the case considering the text below. Souldozer. Souldozer was a character from one of Scott's other games, The Pilgrim's Progress, that made another appearance in FNAF World and Foxy Fighters. Mangle is a yes. This is the more interpret version of the Mangle gender question, especially after the release of UCN, where Mangle is revealed to have both a male and female voice at once. Freedom. This is an extremely old rumor, possibly one of the oldest in the game, where the FNAF 2 jumpscare sound was actually shouting out freedom. However, this has never been confirmed and is most likely just a hoax. 2 purple guys at FNAF 2. The reason behind this speculation is because one of the purple guy assets used in the game is actually shaded pink instead of purple, as is the case with the rest of his sprites. However, this is confirmed to be the same person, so we really have nothing else to go off with this, so moving on. Mike Kill All. This was a translation that was made from the audio in the FNAF 2 trailer, which I was personally hesitant of, but after watching a reverse version of the trailer, it definitely does sound like that. I recommend you go look at it for yourself, it's pretty interesting. Candy Cadet and Endo 1 in UCN. In the early teasers of Ultimate Custom Night, Endo 1 and Candy Cadet were originally planned to have been in the game until they were scrapped, most likely to save room for other characters. Broken Ball Boy. The only thing I was really able to get relating to a broken ball boy was this teaser brightened up. I can't say for certain that the ball boy was broken here, but it's the only thing I was able to find, so unfortunately I can't say for certain that this is true. JJ swearing. This is yet another unreleased thing in FNAF World. In the Foxy Fighters minigame, JJ was supposedly meant to swear at some point, but was cut probably due to Scott not wanting to have too much cursing in his game. I mean, if the Chica's Magic Rainbow thing didn't have anything to say, then I don't know what to tell you. XOR. XOR is the black and white version of Dee Dee from Ultimate Custom Night. XOR summons the secret animatronics if she is summoned, and always appears if you try playing 50-20 mode in that game. Sparky the Dog. Name one hoax that dates earlier than Sparky the Dog in the FNAF universe. This was an early rumor that a dog animatronic was spotted in a hidden room in FNAF 1. While it was deemed false by the creator himself, eventually he decided to take inspiration from the early hoax into one of his Fazbear Fright novels named Fetch. Gamer Toy Freddy. This is nothing more than a joke regarding Toy Freddy's mechanic in Ultimate Custom Night, where he plays a game called Five Nights at Mr. Hugs. Nothing else here, really. I'm already inside. This is an Easter egg that can occur in Pizzeria Simulator during the salvation process, where if you already have all the animatronics running around your pizzeria, then this sign with the text, "I'm already inside," with a winky face will appear. You can only throw it back into the alley and nothing else. Fredbear and UCN. If you set Golden Freddy in Ultimate Custom Night to AI level 1 and use the death coin on him when he appears, then instead of getting rid of him, you'll instead be met with a jump scare by Fredbear. Open box in FNAF World. This image revealed that Scott probably had intended to reveal what was inside of the FNAF 4 box in FNAF World, but decided not to for unknown reasons, most likely to change what it would have revealed. Toxic Song. Yet another unused asset in FNAF World. This is an attack that would have likely poisoned the enemy if used. It's unknown as to why this went unused in the game. Ballora in Night 5 is actually entered. In Night 5 of Sister Location, Baby repeatedly tries to convince you that Ballora is out to get you. However, it's actually revealed in the true ending that the being is entered. Minorina in the Circus Control Room. In Sister Location, after entering the primary control room, there's a rare chance that a Minorina will be posing on the left side of the room. Golden Freddy in UCN. This one has multiple explanations to me. One is that it refers to Golden Freddy in the actual game, which makes no sense. Or it refers to the cutscene that you unlock after achieving 9,800 points. This is the one that would make the most sense to me. Kitchen camera in FNAF 1. If you remember, the kitchen's camera in FNAF 1 was blackened out and hidden from view. I'm not really sure why this is on here, but I'll just assume that the mystery of what goes on in the actual camera is the reason why. Mall in FNAF Help Wanted. You know the recent teasers for the new game Security Breach? Well, supposedly, the mall that's showcased in those teasers is actually in Help Wanted. I don't know if this is true, considering I've never played Help Wanted before, so I'll just leave this one on here. Ballora walks like a spider. This one would honestly be more interesting if it wasn't for the recent release of Ballora's character in FNAF AR, where it shows her running animation of her crawling like a spider. I don't really know why, but it just kind of removes the vagueness, I guess. It's him. This is an unused string of text that can be found in FNAF 2's files when using ClickTeam Fusion. This is very interesting because it shows that Scott clearly intended to show us that there was something else to be seen here. My best guess is that this was used during either the Puppet or Golden Freddy cutscenes in between the main game nights. The Puppet on Strings. This one may not sound all that interesting, but an unused image of the puppet in the office in FNAF 2 shows that the puppet is on strings. At least was on strings at some point. Mike's skull. I was really confused with what this meant at first, but then I stumbled across this unused image in FNAF 2's game files. I wasn't sure what it was until I did some research and learned that this was supposedly a skull. More specifically, Mike's skull. If you want more proof, the game is actually calling this file Mike. Yeah, a user on Reddit actually did a finished version of the skull image with rabbit ears and everything, so go check that out when you have the chance. Purple Geist. Considering the finale of FNAF World Update 2, it can be very easy to forget about this one. Purple Geist is the enemy that you encounter in the last zone in Update 2 of FNAF World, with the role of being the final boss until Chica's Magic Rainbow comes in and kills it. That's literally what happens in the game, don't judge it. Golden Freddy's Scream Secret. It's no secret that Golden Freddy's Scream in FNAF 1 is just a slowed down version of the original Scream used by everyone else, but that felt too obvious for me. The only guess I can make is that it isn't referring to the scream itself, but rather the hallucination sound. It's actually reversed speaking, and after re-reversing it, it actually does say something. I can't make it out though, so somebody else go ahead and try to, figure it out. Phantom Bonnie. Phantom Bonnie is yet another classic hoax, except that everyone pretty much knew that this one was fake. Next! FNAF was created due to criticism. Remember the previously mentioned Chipper and Sons? Well, that game actually received criticism towards Scott over how creepy the titular characters looked, and Scott took this criticism to make Five Nights at Freddy's. Without Chipper and Sons, it's honestly hard to say if FNAF 1 even existed at all. Phantom Foxy and Chica teaser. This is a really early FNAF 3 teaser that I don't really find anyone talking about. I guess I can see why it's on the third row of the Iceberg, but I've always remembered it. The Desolate Room. The Desolate Room is another game that was made by Scott Cawthon before Five Nights at Freddy's. This game featured a character named Coffee, which, if you remember, was a character that also appeared in FNAF World Update 2. X Scream 6. I couldn't find anything online referring to an X Scream 6 used in any FNAF game. If anyone knows that there was some kind of game file or anything using X Scream 6, then please comment down below because I'm genuinely interested to find out. Chica's Party World. This was a name that was found in the code on one of Scott's teasers for Sister Location. Supposedly, there was another location that was open around the same time as SL named Chica's Party World, hence the name. The Immortal and the Restless is an allegory for the Afton family. This was a theory made by Game Theory, where Vlad represents William Afton, Claire represents his wife, and the baby represents Michael Afton. I don't want to make an extremely long explanation about this, but you'll probably get the idea. Fixed Mangle. There have been many renditions of Mangle in FNAF 2 in its unwithered state, though none of them have been official. In fact, the only canon reference to a fixed Mangle in the whole game is Funtime Foxy in FNAF World, but there wasn't anything else regarding this that I could find. Wooltrap vs. Mike Trap was a cover-up. Wooltrap and Mike Trap was the community essentially trying to figure out who was inside a Springtrap, but according to this point, the whole debate was actually a cover-up. For what? I don't know, perhaps from the true story, but I honestly couldn't find anything. Eighth Night. In FNAF 4, by typing in 2020-2020 in the extras menu after having beaten Nightmare mode, you'll get to take on the infamous 2020-20 mode challenge with the introduction Night 8. CD. In both FNAF 1 and FNAF 2, you can instantly bypass any night in the game by typing in CD Plus at any time during the night. This was mainly used as a developer's kit for Scott to test out certain things like 6 AM and the stars, presumably. You can actually do something similar in the menu for FNAF 1 as well. Typing in CD1 will give you the first star, and typing in CD2 will give you the 2 stars. Shadow BB. This is yet another hoax animatronic on this list, and it probably may have fooled a few people too. We did have Shadow Bonnie, which just looked like a blackened out toy Bonnie with white eyes and teeth, so a Shadow BB in some people's minds honestly may not have been too far-fetched. Music Man in the Ball Pit. In Pizzeria Simulator, there's an item you can get where you fish for prizes in a ball pit. If you spend all 10 of your tokens on the ball pit throughout one day, and by the 10th time you play, you'll actually get Music Man as a reward. FNAF World inspired by Fuckboys. If you don't know, Five Nights at Fuckboys is a FNAF fan game that takes on the genre of an RPG. Some of the dialogue and comedy of FNAF World led some people to believe that it was actually inspired by Fuckboys. I mean, it's not like Scott doesn't take inspiration from his fan games, he does have that whole fanverse initiative going on right now, but this is simply my best guess. Scott Cawthon interview. This one has a lot of backstory, so I'll just cut to the chase. After Daku beat 50/20 mode in FNAF UCN, he did an interview with Scott Cawthon on his channel. There really isn't too much else to say about this one, mainly because I haven't watched the interview myself. Official FNAF Discord server. I looked on Discord to see if there was an official FNAF Discord server myself, and I didn't find one, unless it just simply is not public, but I don't personally believe in this one. Music Man uses FNAF 1 Scream. In Ultimate Custom Night, when Music Man jump scares you, it plays the scream used for the FNAF 1 animatronics. The only thing is that Music Man is a character in Pizzeria Simulator, and not in FNAF 1. Funtime Freddy's voice actor follows Shadman. I don't really want to talk about this one because I know that this is definitely not true, so there's really no point in doing it. I mean, come on, it's killing off. 1 day since the party. In FNAF 4, before each minigame, a countdown states how long it is until the party begins. When it counts down to 1 day before the party, this refers to the minigame after Night 4 is completed, where the crying child is locked up in the parts and service room. FNAF World on Steam. Before being taken down and only being available through GameJolt, FNAF World used to be available on Steam. As you know, it was inherently shut down on Steam because of Scott's disappointment of the game. I liked it though. Infinite Tycoon. Scott made an announcement on February of 2018 that he would be making either an endless tycoon for Pizzeria Simulator or an Ultimate Custom Night featuring lots of characters. Of course, the Ultimate Custom Night won out, but Scott explicitly made it clear that it doesn't mean an Infinite Tycoon won't be made at some point. BB and the Puppet in FNAF 1. This is a classic idea that refers to BB and the puppet being in FNAF 1, just not being visible to the player. The closest thing we have to this idea functioning is the Night 4 minigame in FNAF 2, where we see the puppet in the FNAF 1 location, and of course, that FNAF 2 is a prequel. The animatronics can teleport. The only prime example of an animatronic teleporting from different rooms in the first game at least is Bonnie in FNAF 1. There possibly are other examples, but not any that I can think of or are notable. Draw Kill animatronics. The infamous Draw Kill animatronics saw the light of day when a third FNAF game was announced. While they never had the intention of fooling anyone to thinking it was real, some gullible people did believe that it was. However, the animatronics are all but dead at this point, and they have been since about the middle of FNAF 3's lifetime. Pineapple Pizza in Pizzeria Simulator. This one just simply isn't true. There is no pineapple selection in the 8-bit intro to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Next! Adult Theory. I don't want to talk about this one, at all, really. Let's just say when Sister Location's trailer came out that some people thought the game would involve some more, interesting ideas. I don't know if I need to say anymore, and it got so weird the creator had to physically state out that this theory was completely false. Thank God for that. You can look up the theory for yourself if you want to, but let's just say that it's really weird. Dako is Scott Cawthon's nephew. Let's just say I couldn't find anything even remotely relating to this, so, moving on. Freddy in Space's final boss based on Steam post by Scott Cawthon. Although I am aware of the context behind the final boss, I couldn't find any Steam posts regarding Scott being angry at the fanbase for wanting more games. If you know, please leave it down in the comments, I genuinely want to know. FNAF plushies in Steven Universe. This isn't in the show, it's actually in a comic revolving around Steven Universe. While there are FNAF plushies in one page of the comic, I don't know if the comic itself is canon or is made by Cartoon Network. FNAF 6 original version. Scott had originally worked on a different version of FNAF 6 before it was abruptly cancelled for a reason I recommend you look into yourself. Let's just say it eventually led to Scott creating the FNAF 6 that we all know about. Freddy Bear. Before FNAF 1 was first released, the original name for Freddy Fazbear was referred to as just Freddy Bear. I guess I could also mention this here since it's not on the Iceberg, but Golden Freddy's original codename for the first name is just Yellow Bear. Yeah, Golden Freddy was a fan-made name. Even more surprising is the fact that a lot of characters in the FNAF series got their true names based on fan status. That just shows you how much Scott cares about his fan base. The Nightmare animatronics early designs. I don't think that the Nightmare animatronics had early designs, because in the teasers involving the 4 Nightmare animatronics, the designs, while they may have been altered slightly, do share a significant look to their final designs. I can sort of see where people get this idea from, especially Freddy, since he may not look like his final counterpart, but it just looks highly different because of the intense shadows over them. FNAF World Save Data and UCN. This one is interesting. If you do the Old Man Consequences Easter egg in Ultimate Custom Night, and then go into FNAF World without having done anything, then the trophy that you get in that game for completing the Old Man Consequences ending will show up. This is explained using some files that connect multiple games together essentially. And yes, I did know this from game theory. Don't at me. Group hug and thank you teaser source code. You can also do this by opening a teaser in Notepad as well, but there's a string of text that says group hug in the files for the thank you teaser. No real significance with this one, but it was on the Iceberg, so I feel like I had to bring it up. Funtime Blood Puppet. I had never heard of this until looking at all the stuff on the Iceberg. Apparently, in the 4th WWF stream that Daco did, he painted his face red and everyone just called him the Funtime Blood Puppet. I don't really know what else to say. Bidybab in Minorina and FNAF SL intermissions. This one is actually partially true. The myth about Bidybab appearing in the intermissions is actually true, just really hard to notice when it happens because of the lighting. As for the Minorina, she would have appeared in the popcorn, I think, but her secret was left unused in the game. Poor little Minorina. The Bite of 94. My best guess is that this ties to the FNAF 1 location, which took place in 1993, but at the same time, we've never heard of a Bite of 94 in any of the actual games. This one is probably just some fan that made up term that I'm not aware of, so I'll just brush this one off to the side. Official FNAF March commercial. I actually found kind of a hilarious argument on Reddit regarding this topic, but I never found any kind of actual commercial. I heard a discussion of Funko making some kind of commercial, but again, couldn't find anything even remotely connected to it. Ice Cave in FNAF World. This was an unused location in FNAF World that also had some music to go along with it that got scrapped too. While you can listen to the unused track publicly, the Ice Cave isn't shown at all. It's most likely that it was just simply removed because of the other ice level that was used in the game. The Chica anime in UCN represents the missing children's incident. This one does have a large amount of evidence suggesting this is the case. If you want an example, one line of Toy Chica's dialogue presents how William Afton was able to lure in Susie, the spirit who goes on to possess Chica. Scott Cawthon worked at a dollar store. Now, while I'm not sure this was exactly what happened, Scott did have a simple job, only making his previous games in his spare time before he had made Five Nights at Freddy's. Scott's middle name is Afton. This is not true. I don't even know where this one started from. Probably just some people trying to connect the Afton family to Scott, which won't be the last time we'll see that in this Iceberg, unfortunately. Apocalypse animatronics. Other than some fan art, I wasn't able to find really anything involving this topic. Moving on. FNAF themed episode in Mexican animated series. If there are any Mexican viewers out there who know what this is referring to, a comment would probably be appreciated, as I couldn't find anything regarding this topic, try as I might. Withered Bonnie's red and white eyes. In FNAF 2, Withered Bonnie is shown to have red eyes most of the time he's on screen, but when he enters the vents, his eyes actually turn white. This could be a hue kind of thing, but that shouldn't really be the case, since the cameras themselves don't have that to begin with, because, you know, red eyes. True ending in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. I have no idea why this is on here. It's literally the most common ending you can achieve in the game, unless it's referring to some kind of other quote-unquote true ending in the game, but I just don't understand why it's on here. Dancing figure in FNAF World. In the ice section of FNAF World, you can see a figure dancing on a log at the top part of the area. This doesn't have any real explanation, and it's unclear as to what this is doing in the game. FNAF Dark Ride. This is a dark ride that I couldn't really find a whole lot of information about. My assumption is that it's simply in production and hasn't been released yet, but I don't really know that. Cassidy. If you haven't been following the FNAF lore carefully, then Cassidy is the name of the spirit that haunts Golden Freddy, the fifth and last child involved in the missing children's incident. There's not really anything else to go off from here, so let's just continue. Scraptrap has a regular-sized forehead. I just wanted to comment on how much I loved people memeing on Scraptrap's head size, people saying that he looks like Jimmy Neutron and all this stuff, but seriously though, this one is 100% a joke. Moving on. Playable Plus Trap. Other than the inclusion of Adventure Plus Trap in FNAF World, there really isn't anything canon to go off here. I mean, there are fan games of course, but those don't count as always. Cancelled due to leaks. This was a sister location teaser that tricked the fanbase into thinking that the 5th FNAF game was cancelled, but in actuality, it was simply a decoy to showcase that the location, Circus Baby's Pizza World, had shut down because of supposed gas leaks. I love it when a creator trolls his fanbase like this. Mathman. Other than from Ultra Custom Night, I had never heard of this character. I originally tried looking it up to see if it was just another character from one of Scott's other games, but I couldn't find anything relating to that. Unless I'm dumb, which, you know, is always a possibility. Balloon Boy Jump Scare. There were a lot, and I mean a lot, of fake videos making it look like Balloon Boy had a jump scare simply because he was the only character in the series that didn't have one prior to FNAF 3. While it is nostalgic, it's also just bad. BB laughs 4 times before attacking. This is more so a strategy more than an actual piece of information regarding lore, but in FNAF 2, Balloon Boy laughs 4 times before appearing in the vents in your office. Yeah, that's it. FNAF World Mobile Port. This is definitely the least known of the mobile ports of FNAF, which is probably why it's this low on the iceberg. Beef animatronic in FNAF 1. There is no Beef animatronic in FNAF 1. If there was, then I definitely would have heard about it earlier, but I didn't until looking at this iceberg, so just like Sparky, this one is simply a hoax and nothing more. Michael talking in the real ending. This one is referring to the real ending in the main sister location game, not the ending when you beat 1021 sister location custom night. I mean, there are those alien-like noises that you hear during the end of the cutscene, but it doesn't actually say anything as far as I'm aware. FNAF movie by Columbia Pictures. Columbia Pictures is not making the FNAF movie. Blumhouse is making the FNAF film. I know Warner Brothers originally has the rights to it, but the rights are now in the hands of Blumhouse. Argue as you may, this one is simply not true. I just want to make a disclaimer real quick that as we go down from here on out, a lot of these points are either going to be so vague that finding any real information on them is nothing but pointless, or are simply there just to make the environment more spoopy. I will try to cover all of these as best as I can, especially any of the ones that I can find any, real information on, but I'll mainly try to skim through some of the bullshit ones. UCN with futuristic office. As I expected, I couldn't find anything about this one. I feel like the title in of is self-explanatory though. I just want to mention that I do actually have the game files Ultimate Custom Night, and there is no futuristic office that I know of, so moving on. Scott Cawthon semicolon key broken. Now, I'll be honest here, I don't know what this has to do with anything really. It's not like there were any lines of text in FNAF that needed the semicolon key anyways, so why is this on the FNAF iceberg of all things? And this low down specifically is beyond me. Smiley face in FNAF SL. In the real ending in sister location, there's an unseen smiley face when Michael Afton reveals his face in the final cutscene. You can actually see the smiley face in the code of the game, but you can't see it in the actual game unless you make a version of the game where it is visible. It's usually there because it probably holds as a placeholder for Michael's face, so yeah, nothing else really to say about this one. Circus Baby versus Funtime Foxy. I mean, I couldn't find anything as per usual for this one, so bye. Rise of the Franken Freddy. The FNAF Help Wanted DLC, Curse of Dreadbear, actually had a previous name that was used until it was indefinitely changed to Curse of Dreadbear, that being Rise of the Franken Freddy. Click Team Fusion 3. If you don't know, Click Team Fusion is a software that FNAF was made on. At first, I thought this was just some inside joke about how Click Team Fusion not having a third version despite having a 2.5 version. However, Click Team Fusion 3 is actually a version that is being currently produced, at least from the article I read. A release date was set in 2017, but considering that it hasn't released yet in October of 2020, I'm not really sure about the future of this topic in particular. Invaders is Scott Cawthon. I don't really know who this person is and what they have to do with FNAF, but considering the kind of tweets that they've posted, I don't really think that Scott and him are the same person. Withered Freddy's broken eye. Supposedly, one of Withered Freddy's eyes doesn't go up and down with the other. I don't think there's anything that happens in FNAF 2 that supports this idea, but it's in the wiki, so it probably is canon. Who knows? I Can't Fix You, red version. I Can't Fix You is the Living Tombstone song for FNAF Sister Location. and anyone who's listened to Living Tombstone stuff will tell you that they sometimes have both red and blue versions of their songs, kind of like how Pokemon uses their games. However, there is no blue version of I Can't Fix You, let alone a red version, so this one is just a hoax. Fright Dome 2016. I had actually heard about this one beforehand, and seeing it on the Iceberg felt kinda fitting, considering I really don't see anyone who remembers it. Fright Dome was a walkthrough horror attraction that had lifelike recreations of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. There is quite a bit of information to learn about Fright Dome, so I recommend you go ahead and look for it out yourself in your own time. The Fourth Act Child. I just wanted to state that the Iceberg warned not to mention this point to Scott under any circumstances, but I don't really know how this could be possible. First of all, it's pretty clear, at least in the game lore, that there are only three Afton children, Michael Afton, Elizabeth Afton, and the Crying Child. And second, if there was a supposed fourth Afton child, then I don't see why it would be such a big deal to bring up to Scott himself. This one just always confused me, I don't know. FNAF 1 through 4 for Stadia. The Stadia was this highly controversial gaming service that was made by Google. Its controversy is known for a lot of reasons, but this point goes on to say that the first 4 FNAF games would have been on the Stadia. Yeah, no. Scott cares about his games and his fan base, and he knows better to not put his work into a gaming service that has been known as a graveyard at this point. Wisp animatronics. Nothing I can find for this one, folks. No, not even fan art. Bounce Spot did the bite of 80 cent. This is another one that I simply just find as a joke, because Bounce Spot isn't even a character in the games. It is an enemy in FNAF World, and while there was that one Easter egg in Ultimate Custom Night where it could pop up on the user's desk, it's pretty clear that the characters in FNAF World aren't characters that also exist in the main game lore. 3 Charlies. In the main FNAF novel trilogy, we followed a character named Charlie, who we later discover is actually one of a series of 4 robots. You'd probably point out that the Iceberg says 3 Charlies, but my best guess is that it refers to the spare robots, not the all-out total of robots that there are. Fanboy Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Just another joke, I'm assuming, as I wasn't able to find any real information for this one. Shocker, I know. Unlocking Showtime. This was an idea for Help Wanted that you would unlock what's called Showtime that would be triggered by pressing a button, but this was never actually released, and it was made clear by the developer that it won't be released. William's motive. This one is actually pretty easy to digest if you've been following the lore heavily. William kills the kids in order to experiment with their remnant and live forever. I mean, obviously it is more complex, but that's just a simplified version of it. FNAF 1 to 3 Halloween updates. In the first 3 Five Nights at Freddy's games, if you set your computer date to 10/31, then some new decorations will appear in your office. This became more prominent along the release of FNAF 2, when people truly started to figure this out. Elizabeth Afton survived inside Circus Baby by eating ice cream and inhaling helium. This may sound just completely random, but I've actually heard of this kind of rumor before. Allegedly, according to this point, Elizabeth actually died when William ordered Baby to be scooped, and of course, that in turn killed his daughter instead. Michael Afton is in a coma. This refers to the Fight of 83 incident where the crying child was, according to this point, put in a coma as a result of the damage done. But here's the thing, Michael Afton is the older brother, not the crying child. Unless it means another accident that supposedly put Michael in a coma, but no. This was the only link that really made sense to me. Eighth Night. Nothing I could find regarding this one. Sorry, but I simply have no leads as to what this is. Circus Forbidden Mix. Funnily enough, I found a shit ton of circus mixes by Silva Gunner on YouTube, but nothing regarding a quote-unquote forbidden mix. At least to what I could find. Let me know if anyone is able to find anything, cause I honestly want to know. US Government Balloon Boy Experiment. Now, what's interesting about this one is, while it's not referring to anything FNAF related, there was actually an incident that involved the US government that went under the name Balloon Boy. Supposedly, a homemade helium-filled gas balloon was sent into the sky and was mistaken as a saucer, and it was reported that a 6-year-old kid named Falcon was trapped in the balloon. It was pursued, and then the boy was found hiding under his attic, where he was resided the whole time. Kind of interesting, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to learn about something like this, and it's actually conceived as a hoax. You can look into this one after watching the video, but this was honestly pretty fascinating to go over. FNAF and Christianity. The only thing I can see in this one is simply how Scott Cawthon ties to being a Christian and that he made the FNAF series. That is it. Anti-capitalism themes. Look, I've looked into the Five Nights at Freddy series a lot here, and I can say with certainty that FNAF has absolutely nothing to do with or against capitalism. Yeah, in case you didn't notice, we're starting to go down into the especially weird topics on this iceberg, so please just bear with me as we go down through this final part of our trip. Assets from the Desolate Room in FNAF SL. I personally don't know what to think of this one. It is possible, considering the Desolate Room and the FNAF franchise were both made using ClickTeam, but I honestly just have no idea. Elizabeth's Lullaby. Again, can't find anything about this one. Moving on. Hidden Image in Pogo Duck. Pogo Duck was yet another game made by Scott Cawthon. Supposedly, there was a hidden image somewhere in it, but I obviously won't have the time to go through and look for it, so apologies. FNAF 1 HD Remake. Not sure why this is this low on the iceberg. It isn't a big deal, but it's still relatively known by the community. I feel like the name explains itself, but yeah, no idea why this one is on here. Pinky Pill's self-insert in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. I'm not really sure who Pinky Pills is, but from what I saw online, Pinky Pills is a person who draws comics related to FNAF, and this point says that they supposedly self-inserted themselves in Pizzeria Simulator. Don't think this is true though, obviously. Minarinas are in Fun with Plush Trap. I was originally gonna say that this was not true at all, but then I learned that the Minarinas were actually in the Fun with Plush Trap and Nightmare BB minigames and Help Wanted, just as a rare Easter egg. Man, what extra information can do. Scott Cawthon founded Steel Wool. A simple Google search will debunk this theory. The real founder of Steel Wool is Josh Coltieri. Apologies if I mispronounce your last name, by the way. Scrap Trap Funko Pop. There is no real Scrap Trap Funko Pop, at least not as of the release of this video. The majority of what you'll find are just edits and fan-made models of Scrap Trap Funko Pops, but nothing made by Funko itself. FNAF SL inspired by harem anime. While I can't deny Ballora's design definitely points to another direction, I'm pretty sure Scott did not take inspiration from a harem anime. Let's just leave it at that. Funtime Freddy's Outtakes. I genuinely don't know if this one exists. I haven't found anything online, but I'm sure there could potentially be something out there. I'm just left out in the dark for this one, so if anyone knows anything about this topic in particular, then please leave a comment on this video, cause I actually want to discover this one for myself. Elevator falling in FNAF SL. This was, if I recall correctly, an old hoax that started when the game first released. Obviously, it's not real, but it is something interesting to think about. Two children possess Golden Freddy. This is a really recent theory that was made by game theorists, in which they explain that Golden Freddy not only holds the spirit of Cassidy, but that it also holds the spirit of the crying child. This would have been more vague if it weren't for that theory, so at least watching game theory on FNAF really pays off. Circus Baby's split personalities. According to the novels, the circus baby in that universe seems to have two personalities, of being sweet and kind to jealous and sardonic. And that's the wiki's words, not mine. I could talk more about her other attributes in the novel as well, but that would roll off the iceberg, so I'll just leave it at that. FNAF X Doom short film. I could find nothing about this, which most likely means that it's not true. Moving on. Freddy Frolic. Nothing yet again. What a surprise. FNAF SLMA. I was originally going to make a joke about how I was so scared about there being an MA version of the game, cause, you probably know what that stands for. But no, this was actually released by Scott. The backstory was that Scott made a joke about how Sister Location was quote-unquote too mature, and that he was originally going to release a safer version later on, but in actuality it's just a reskinned version of Sin and Survive that was yet another game made by him prior to FNAF. Man, Scott has made so many games before FNAF, it's honestly kind of hard to believe. Well, at least I don't have to think of a mature version of Sister Location, right? Oh, wait. scottgames.com/thetruth. Typing this in online will lead to an error 404 page, and considering how vast and universal the FNAF community is, you'd assume that they would have caused something like this. Oh, in case you're wondering, I did try this link in the Wayback Machine, and I still didn't find anything. Child trafficking theory. I'm not even going to do research on this one, because it's obviously not true. Though I am aware that the game's story is about kids being lured into a back room and, being killed and stuffed into furry animatronic suits, I still don't think this would be a thing in FNAF. I mean, yeah, Scott kinda has some dark themes in this game, but I mean, come on. 5120. This was mainly a joke that Scott had made to the community, saying that he would make 5120 mode easier, despite there not being 51 animatronics in UCN. Dalco made a video about this, and I highly recommend you go check it out when this video is over. Boss fight in UCN. Unless you want to count the God challenge as a boss fight, there is no quote-unquote boss fight in UCN, unfortunately. Sorry, boys. Behind the cameras. I can only think this is referring to the kitchen in FNAF 1 since it's completely blacked out, like how people believe Golden Freddy hid out there and stuff like that. FNAF SP will never release. This is obviously a joke, and I like to take some of these to light and not try to sugarcoat them. This is just a joke made to get a laugh out of people, and it's not trying to be morally creepy like our friend Row 5. Coordinates in the Freddy files. I don't own the Freddy Files book, nor do I know about any coordinates existing in there, so please inform me this is a thing that exists in the books, because I'm curious to know. Anti-abortion themes in the Desolate Hope. I was expecting this one to be just another creepy hoax, but apparently at the end of the Desolate Hope, a message appeared that reputed to be pro-life and anti-abortion. This was later removed in order to calm controversy down and to avoid people interpreting the message in the wrong way. Now, while there have definitely been a lot of bullshit ones, I've mainly tried to cover each and every one with as much detail as I could. However, going forward, I'll simply skip over any point that I have nothing to say about. I will make a list of all the ones I skipped over during this segment at the end of the video, but I won't mention them here as it'll just be pointless. Night. Night is a rather vague statement that I never was able to find anything of. I feel like it's referring to a specific night in one of the games, but which night in particular will probably be shrouded in mystery. Fazbear Factory. According to the Fanon Wiki, the Fazbear Factory is a location opened in 2034, which specializes in creating, designing, and building animatronics. This is probably not canon, but being able to find any kind of information on it at all, even if it is probably fan-made, is definitely up at this portion of the iceberg. The Circus. Probably a FNAF SL related thing, but as per usual, nothing I could find online. Fazbear Entertainment Concentration Camps. Now, you don't need to be a sane person to look at this and know this is fake. Whether this was just another joke to make fun of how complex FNAF's story had become, or someone out there actually thought this was a thing that could make sense. The fifth member of the Fazbear gang. At least I can actually digest this one. I thought that this was referring to Golden Freddy, who for the longest time has been thought of being the fifth Fazbear crewmate. However, this is nowadays not really the case, but it's still interesting to remember the time when people did really think that. Skinned animatronics. This is honestly just a shot in the dark here. It could be referring to the FNAF SL animatronics without their outer skin and just their wires and stuff showing, but in all honesty, I have no idea what this could be. The Afton family based on Scott's family growing up. I hope this is not the case because the Afton family is a very tragic family, and I sure as God hope Scott's family does not represent that in any way, shape, or form. It probably doesn't, so moving on. LGBTQ plus representation. There was a post on Reddit regarding something about Freddy being gay, but it was deleted by the moderators of the Reddit group, so this one is probably just another joke topic. Lamar Afton. This probably connects to the whole fourth Afton child fiasco, and I already went over that. Nothing new to say here. Amalgamatronic. While I can find nothing about an amalgamatronic online, I did find information about an amalgamation that is represented in the books. so it's probably the same. If you don't know, it's the melted down endoskeletons of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. There are more details about it in the 4th closet, so look at that if you're interested. The remnant test subjects. Why is this topic this low on the iceberg? I have no idea. However, the remnant test subjects are some of the kids William killed or kidnapped and were forced into experiments in order to make him immortal. FNAF Free Roam. There are a lot of FNAF Free Roam fan games, but of course, nothing official. But hey, at least I actually have something to say about this one. The water level in FNAF World. There is Lilygator Lake in FNAF World, but there's supposedly a water level in the game. But of course, no one knows anything. Hidden FNAF SL cutscene. The Iceberg makes a warning not to research this topic, but I did and I found nothing. At all. There are some of those weird secret FNAF SL minigames stuff, but nothing regarding a hidden cutscene anywhere. Eggs inside Chica and FNAF Help Wanted. I looked at the Teasers page in the FNAF Help Wanted wiki, and there were no mention of eggs being inside Chica in the game. Unless there is, in which case, I have said before, I can just be stupid. The Desolate Ambition. A sequel to The Desolate Hope was in production before FNAF, titled The Desolate Abandon, but nothing regarding a game called The Desolate Ambition. Cam 5A. This would have been a hidden camera in the FNAF 1 location, since it's the only game to have a numeric/alphabetical labeling system in its cameras. But obviously this doesn't exist, and I know that for a fact since I have the game's decompile file with me. And no, do not at me to get the game's file, you will not get it. The screams in the FNAF series were acquired by actual children. While Scott didn't make the screams himself, they were not acquired by actual children. You can look up the origin of all the FNAF screams online, but I'll say for sure that they definitely were not acquired by real children. The Scott Cawthon interview was heavily censored. The Daco and Scott Cawthon interview, according to this point, was said to have been heavily censored from the public. I don't believe this is true, not only because of Scott caring a lot about his fan base, but the interview itself is already very long, so it's probably just an attempt to sound grim or creepy. Scott's brother trapped in Help Wanted. Come on guys, let's please not repeat the whole hero blind crap with FNAF here. It's incredibly unnecessary. Goat animatronic. Nothing official, but I did find this FNAF roleplay wiki that does have a goat animatronic. But I'll just lift myself out of the wormhole before I dig any deeper into it. William's wife. We've never seen or heard of William's wife in the FNAF series, but it is presumed that her spirit actually resides in Ballora. Of course, it's only speculation, but it's a good one at that. Game Theory does some more in-depth explanation regarding William's wife, but again, I don't want to waste your time, so moving on. The leaks. I don't know why this is on row 5 of the Iceberg. The leaks are a fairly recent event, and I don't think it should be this low on here. I know a lot of people probably don't remember it at this point, but I mean, come on. The FNAF VHS series were all based on true events. The FNAF VHS series was made by Squimpus McGrimpus, and it is based entirely on the story of FNAF, so I'm hoping the story of FNAF isn't based on true events, but I feel pretty safe in that regard. AfterNrobotics.com/cbear. I tried looking at the Wayback Machine to see if this was an actual thing, but no URLs were ever saved. No surprise there. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is real. You guys remember when the first game first released, and how you saw this image circulate everywhere? You know the one. The very bland looking building with the poorly implemented JPEG of the text that says Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? Just makes me wish I could go back to simpler times. But yeah, I like to look at this one and mock at it, but at the same time it's oddly nostalgic, and I don't think I'm the only person who feels that way. The Forbidden Teaser. I'm pretty sure the Iceberg is referencing this teaser that was posted for Help Wanted. Apparently, it was taken down because some models were stolen and Scott wanted to make sure he didn't keep it up, as it could have gotten him in a trial. And yes, I learned all of this from Game Theory as well. Interesting how one source can be the pig of all your information. Kickstarter demo and wallpapers. Despite what this tells you, there are no Kickstarter demos or wallpapers of any of the games. This is a lie. This one is typed in on Wingdings, the same language used for Gaster's text in Undertale. I manually translated this text, and it says Freddy's penis. No, I'm not making this up. I spent like 10 minutes of my life trying to figure this out, only to say Freddy's penis. You can try translating it yourself, but just why? Uncut FNAF Quadrilogy. This is pretty much an alternate way of referring back to the classic line in FNAF 4's first teaser, the final chapter. This seems pretty damn conclusive to me, and I don't see this going in any other direction. Big Chungus. No, I am not making this on the spot. That is actually on the iceberg. What does Big Chungus have to do with Five Nights at Freddy's in any way, shape, or form? I have absolutely no idea. However, if by some ungodly chance Big Chungus becomes so much as a joke in the canon FNAF community, then I think we'll have this iceberg to thank for it. Last Call. This is a nod to the Night 5 phone call in FNAF 1, where you hear the deep voice muttering what sounds like complete gibberish at first. However, it actually says a verse from the Autobiography of a Yogi. This was where the infamous Joy of Creation line originated from. Even though it didn't say Joy of Creation, it said Joy of Creative Service, so, whoops. Charlie.gif. I couldn't find anything anywhere, so the warning that the iceberg gives for not staring at it for longer than 40 seconds should probably not be too heavily weighed down upon. However, this does remind me of that urban legend of the Suicide Girl. You've probably heard of that before. It's always been one of those stories that's been so mysterious and weird, at least to me, and I kind of feel like this is a little callback to that. Ennard virus. Some people believe the line from Ennard's first teaser in Sister Location, "There's a little bit of me inside every body," was a hint that Ennard would be some kind of virus. In actuality, it's just a metaphor describing that Ennard was simply a combination of the core 4 Funtime animatronics. Don't really know which one is simpler. Springtrap and MK11. I have no idea what MK11 is, but a lot of people seem to have the idea of if Springtrap happened to be an MK11. I do know that if Springtrap is being added in Dead by Daylight, but that's not connected as far as I'm aware. Guess I'll just wait and see for this one. Officer Dunn's son. Officer Dunn is a character in one of the books, but there is no mention of his son anywhere as far as I'm concerned. Five Nights at Freddy's Bloodstained Bear. I feel like this one refers to the Bite of 83, since, the crying child gets his frontal lobe bitten off, and, there was a whole bunch of blood everywhere. I don't really know what other connection that this could lead to, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel quite right to me. Phantom Chica's suicide. Alright, now I don't want to get philosophical on you guys or anything, but this one point right here, it just felt so utterly weird to me. It's like, I honestly don't really know what to say. I originally, a long time ago when I first got into FNAF, I had found this image, and this was one of my first exposures to the game. And I remember being so utterly creeped out by this. I was like, oh my god, that looks really weird. My young mind was just kind of like trying to process it all. So, hearing something like this, it feels so utterly disturbing. And I know it's probably not canon, definitely, but at the same time, it just feels so, I don't know what the word for it is, but it's so just utterly, I guess, unsettling. No, I wouldn't really describe it. Just unusual, I guess. Because again, that was one of my first exposures to the game, and by the way, I'm not using like a script for this part or anything, as you can tell from all my stuttering and stuff. Because obviously, this would be way too long to write a script for. I just kind of decided to improvise for this part. But yeah, it's just felt so weird to me. Just even hearing this, even thinking about this as an idea. So, I guess I'll just leave this one as a thought for now, but it's just so weird. I don't know. It's them. I couldn't find any kind of unused text or anything this time around, unlike in It's Him. So we're gonna have to leave this one empty-handed, sadly. 7 a.m. Yeah, this one just seems like another joke point to me. I mean, in not one point in the game is 7 a.m. ever mentioned, so... Steve Cawthon. What? Eating the biddy babs. This one just makes me feel kinda sick. Don't think I need to explain it any further. Welcome to your despair, Michael. I found something pretty creepy while trying to find information on this one. On the Google search page for a kid named Michael in the book series, one line of text is below everything else. It says, missing, welcome despair. I don't think this has to do with anything, but it did kinda creep me out for a second. Scott's true motive. Another one just to sound dark and ominous. We all know that Scott doesn't have this true motive, even if where the series is going to be leading to isn't what any of us will expect. Humanized Mangle. Loads and loads and loads of fan art, so don't even bother trying to do research for this one. Music Man is the only ally left. I'll leave you all with a more thought-provoking one for last. While I definitely don't know what this means, it is interesting to truly think about. I mainly like to refer this in Michael's perspective, and that Music Man is this only soul that's willing to help. I mean, yeah, it sounds dumb, but this is FNAF after all. A lot of stuff can happen in this game, so really thinking about it, what if Music Man, this random animatronic that pretty much everyone forgot about upon his introduction, was the only ally that Michael had left in his journey? And there you go! That is the FNAF Iceberg covered. I know there were a lot in that last row that I failed to cover, so I'll list out all of the ones that I ignored right now. Scott's deal with the devil. Okay. Secret OnlyFans, Matt Pat knows too much, William's justification, castration, original IP, the minigames in FNAF 4 is Scott's life story, Charlie's hallway of scrap, someone in the pizza, trance song, consenting mic, and endless puppet. If you know any kind of information on any of these topics, a quick comment down below or just a quick clarification would be helpful, as one day I may be able to make an updated video going over the things that I missed, in hopes to one day go back and redo all of those. As for the other topics that I didn't find any conclusive information on, please let me know if I missed anything that should have been included in this video, as it can really help me. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to review or look over anything else, even if it isn't FNAF related. I'm planning on doing the Mario 64 Iceberg sometime, but don't be shy to let me know if there's anything else that you guys want me to see. Also, I really hope you guys have a great Halloween this year with the whole, pandemic and social distancing and stuff. I know that it'll feel weird, but I hope I was able to make your night just a little better with this video, even if it isn't Halloween when you're watching this. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye, and I hope you all have a fantastic Halloween.